from the comfort of our couch. I'm Mike.
I'm Dave.
And I'm Justin.
And we just went to see the new. Oh, sorry, I bumped a button. We just went to see the new.
That was interesting.
We just went to see the new Tomb Raider movie for Dave's birthday. Oh, I got lasers. I was supposed to have the confetti. This is just spiraling out of control 5 seconds in.
You can tell this is going to be an awesome review already.
Yes.
They gave us... Yeah, happy birthday, Dave. There's my confetti. Happy birthday, Dave.
Yay.
I needed that.
Yay.
It makes it more special for the audience. So anyways, we just got back from the movie, so it's still fresh in our heads, and we're just going to do a quick review what we thought of it. I'll say this now because I don't know where the conversations go. Will go. There's probably going to be spoilers. So if you want to go into the movie...
Well, how about let's just give our general impressions here quick, just a couple sentences, and then so people can get that idea, and if it sounds interesting, then you can go see it, and you can come back and watch the rest. If you don't care, you can just keep watching.
Okay, that works.
Okay, cool. We'll make a spoiler cutoff. Stop
Sure.
watching after that point. All right, cool. Sounds good.
Yes.
All right, so, guys, what are your thoughts?
I think it's a perfectly serviceable action movie. I didn't think it was a very good Tomb Raider movie, a very good Lara Croft movie. Without getting into spoilers, that's kind of...
Yeah, that was kind of my opinion,
right.
too. Like, it's definitely a nice, like, thrill ride. The effects were good. The suspense was, for the most part, pretty good, but also pretty stereotypical of any given action romp. Thoughts on Alicia Vikander? Did I say that right?
Vikander.
Vikander.
Vikander,
Okay.
yeah. I thought she was great, and a lot of those action set pieces, and like she did most of her own stunts for that movie, and
solid.
you could really tell. If you've been online, they've had some videos of like all the training she went through to do this, like hardcore, super intense, and you could see how ripped she was, even just in the opening when she's running around the real world. So yeah, I think she was good. I don't think the problems were with the acting.
Oh yeah, definitely.
To varying degrees.
Yeah.
You have to forgive me for being a little bit quiet. The main reason being, you two played the games. I've played kind of the classic, but I never actually finished it.
Okay.
So I wanted to make sure that you two approach this from a video game angle.
Gotcha.
'Cause I'm only looking at this from reviewing movies since I was like 12.
Gotcha.
Which has value, but it's a whole different.
They took a lot of elements
Yeah.
from
That's
from the new
I got.
games, but they changed up enough of it that like
You didn't.
it let me
Right.
know a couple of things that were going to happen, but it's not as if like I knew the whole story. They changed some things up, moved some stuff around.
So they kind of put their own spin on it.
Yes, they
Yep.
did.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was looking at this from a film angle, and I really liked Alicia Vikander. I think she's been a very talented actress. Absolutely deserved her Best Supporting Actress nomination from a couple years back, and actual award. Was Tomb Raider the best decision after that? I don't know. I believe we can get a good video game movie at some point in our lives. This movie is not said movie. The main reason for that being, I think with any sort of action adventure kind of story, when I'm looking at it from a screenwriting angle, there's this importance of earning your beats, earning the moments that define the character, that make us want to get on board. So even if the storyline is completely ridiculous, obviously Indiana Jones doesn't always make a whole lot of sense, but
Very true.
we're on board. Tomb Raider just plays so between the lines, so safe, and it's kind of a pity because Vikander actually does a really good job. The problem is just no one seems to want to be able to keep up with her, and as a result, it's a perfectly fine performance in a remarkably mediocre movie that's almost instantly forgettable. There's a couple interesting set pieces, but it's very beat by beat. A lot of it is very predictable. And honestly, the only other real positive I can give it is for a 2-hour movie, doesn't really drag anywhere. But
That's true. It does kind of, keep your attention for the most part. And I don't know. I think, all in all, I think the dialogue wasn't terrible. They did a good job of, feeding you bits of the story without, either assaulting you with too much lore or, leaving.
yeah, I think they did okay with not turning this into
It was the right.
2 hours of fan service.
Yeah, it was the right, breadcrumb trail.
Yeah, they had kind of implied in some of the marketing that it was going to be closer to the game than what it was. All of the extended cuts were of sections that were the couple of sections that were taken beat for beat from the video games. I'll talk about them because they've been in all the trailers and stuff. But the airplane scene and the parachute, that is literally taken shot for shot out of the video game. It's one of the coolest sequences in the game.
I do
and
recall.
then the endurance shipwreck. It's a little bit different, but it does have running up the ship as it's tipping over and she jumps out and into the ocean. And those are two of the big scenes that have been in all the marketing for this. And for someone who loved the games, implied that it was going to be closer to the games. But I'm fine with them. It's a movie. It has to be different. Especially the ending of the game would not have been something you could have done realistically in a movie.
I'm
Yeah.
curious what do you mean by that.
We'll get into that after
yeah.
The spoiler mark?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
So, that being said, I think that there was a really they did a really good job with the marketing by not giving away too much in the trailers.
Yeah,
and we'll
yes,
see.
yeah.
Notoriously after it hits theaters, there's a second trailer that comes out that gives a little more.
Of what's exactly going on.
Yeah, and every once in a while, actually, most times they give away some of the best stuff in those trailers after it's been released to try and get people in after the fact. Million Ways to Die in the West,
Yep.
should have left Christopher Lloyd out of the trailers.
Probably.
Not cool. But anyways,
Fair enough.
that was one of the best sucker punches of the whole movie. You really weren't expecting that. But I think that they did a good job of putting enough action in the trailers without actually giving you any real storyline to kind of spoil it for you.
Yeah, especially as someone who came in kind of thinking I knew where the story was going to go, and then it would veer off in a different direction a couple of times, which was pretty cool to still have it be different and still be surprised by stuff.
Mm-hmm. So is that? Are we
we
on the
wanna-
verge of the spoiler
Yeah,
cut?
yeah. We
feel
want
like
to
we
jump
need to
into
go there,
spoilers
Mike.
now.
Okay, okay. So before we go any further, if you don't want the movie to be ruined, get out now. If you're watching this, pause it, come back to it after you see the movie.
Yep.
We're going to actually, drop some plot points and discuss things that happened. So if you don't care, stick with us and enjoy all the spoilery goodness. So,
Where do we attack
So-
here?
I think what I keep getting hung up on in this is the first third of the movie
Okay.
and why they felt the need to change Laura's origin story, who she is. So I said it doesn't really feel like a Tomb Raider movie to me because she's this awesome, badass athlete and stuff, but part of Lara Croft is being an archaeologist and, going into the tomb and identifying the stuff and looking at this artifact and being like, oh, this is from the Yuan dynasty, 15th century kind of stuff. And instead, her dad isn't even openly an archaeologist. It's a secret for some reason.
yeah.
Never exactly made clear.
Yeah. And it feels like it cheapens her later being able to open the tomb door and find Yamatai and all this stuff when there's no... Obviously she's smart and she's able to figure out puzzles, but you would expect it to be have to have the historical knowledge to know, oh, this symbol means this, meant this in Japanese, and put all the pieces together. So it kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Same. I felt like that was a big ball drop there with the lack of any real archaeology.
And I felt like the movie really picked up once you got you got off the Endurance and you got onto the island, I thought those were the best parts of the movie. So I wasn't sure why we spent all this time
building up to that.
Yeah, in London and in Hong Kong, that whole sequence. And it makes her seem like she just kind of stumbles she just kind of stumbles into finding this guy who just happens to be his dad, took her dad to the island. She never plans out any of the stuff she's doing. She just happens to stumble into everything.
That's an interesting way to put it, because that's probably how I would describe her mentality throughout this entire movie. She never really has much autonomy. She just kind of happens to stumble upon things or have some sort of crazy Deus Ex Machina kind of moment where everything sort of resolves itself, or some sort of strange epiphany to solve some sort of life-threatening puzzle. It's never really like, oh yes, here's how we get there. Instead, it's like, okay, well, now it's time to do this because we need to move on. And I think it kind of hurts, but I also realize this is not like with the Angelina Jolie movie. Yes, I'm sorry, people, but I know it wasn't a great movie, but honestly, I would probably watch it more than I would watch this.
Honestly, if we hadn't been in the theaters, if I was watching this on Netflix, I probably would have turned it off in that first third of it and not watched the rest of it.
Oh, really?
I mean, there was always stuff going on, but I just wasn't... Why should I be interested in this random British chick? You know?
And that kind of... on that point, that was another thing that I felt they kind of dropped the ball with. One of the nice things about the game was in the planning process of this expedition to the island, she had that camaraderie. She had her best friend from school, right?
Yeah, Sam.
Yeah, and then the Samoan guy that
Jonah.
Came back in the other games.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't remember.
So there was a build up.
Yeah,
exactly.
The game actually starts right on the Endurance as it goes down onto Yamatai. But you have the whole, you spend a couple minutes with the crew. There's a whole crew of the ship. You all get shipwrecked and you team together and you have to go and rescue various members of them and stuff. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and it felt like in the movie, the island was just this little tiny place. You saw two locations of it.
Yeah.
And obviously you wouldn't have had the time to show it like they did in the game, where you spend the whole
you do a lot of running
30-hour game on this island exploring various parts of it. But it just felt like it was this random place, and there wasn't anything.
It felt more secret,
wasn't anything special
rather
to it
than archaeological tomb.
Yeah. And that's another thing. Trinity obviously didn't care about the contents.
If you guys are sitting so close, it's almost as if you're forced to.
In terms of hidden conspiracy, which...
Well, we're kind of forced to.
Yeah, we are kind of forced to. Sorry, we got voices in our head.
This couch is not conducive to us
yeah.
spreading out a whole lot more.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And we weren't sure if the whole room was going to show up on the camera.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah. Somebody just commented on how close we
Wandom
were.
plays confused.
Oh, thanks. Sorry.
But yeah, I don't know. I felt like Trinity just kind of like was really reckless and didn't care so much as they did in the game. I mean, sure, they were bullheaded in the games, but I don't know. It just felt almost
in the game, and Trinity doesn't come into the games until the second game.
So sort of
But they had a specific goal, and they were looking for this immortality, and you understood why that's what they were going for. It's incredibly unclear in this movie,
what are they trying to accomplish?
Yeah, is Trinity going to take this bioweapon and just, release it and unleash a mass genocide, or are they going to, hold the world government hostage for whatever reason? Or,
what exactly are you trying to do?
Yeah, there's never any...
Right.
Yeah.
And
that's sequel bait, but...
You look like Harry Potter glasses.
They are like Harry Potter glasses.
Yeah, kinda, yeah. But yeah, and Matthias is, of course, a completely different character than he was in the game.
Yeah.
I think the game version of him was more compelling, but...
Mm-hmm.
What was the difference?
So... the first game, Trinity isn't in it at all.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, Yamatai is this bigger island. she's not searching for her dad or anything. She's on an archaeological expedition to the lost island of Yamatai.
Okay.
But yeah, it gets shipwrecked. You first run into Matthias, and he's pretending just to be this, this kindly old guy who's, just happens to be shipwrecked on there.
Okay.
Through the course of the game, you find out that he's the leader of this cult that's taken over the island, and they are sacrificing girls who come onto the island to Himiko so that she can be reborn and then allow them to leave the island. They're all trapped there by the storms of Himiko as she's like undead in spirit form.
Croft Trinity
Guess a little
said.
too heavy for a PG-13. Guess a little too heavy for a PG-13.
Yeah, probably.
That would have been interesting, though. I definitely would have liked that angle instead of just, I saved you, but also I'm kind of the big bad who's only really a henchman to bigger threat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you totally understand his motivations in the movie, but he wasn't anyone that you cared about.
Yeah.
That also was weird because they tried to play it up like a plot twist, but he reveals the plot twist right during his introduction. So
yeah, exactly.
I really didn't know how to feel about that.
I mean, you could tell from the beginning that he wasn't, he wasn't her friend,
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little better veiled in the games.
And I don't know, did the Anna betrayal at the end, did that do anything for you? Do you even know who I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I was asking Justin because he hadn't played the games.
Who are you referring to?
The woman who gets her from jail and she's a higher up in the company.
Oh, okay. Honestly, not really, because of that whole thing with you said his name was Matthias.
Yeah, Matthias.
Yeah, because he was already sort of implying that the whole way they structured the whole here is Trinity, and here's really where everything's going to come into play if we get Tomb Raider 2.
Too many spoilers. You ruined the movie, curse you
I don't
said.
think that's incredibly likely, but yeah, it just really didn't work. I felt like it was shoehorned.
So yeah, again, that was something that I think worked better in the game. In the game,
what's the
Anna is her stepmother.
Okay.
She's not a part of the company. There's no mention of Croft Holdings or the companies at all in any of the games. Anna is her stepmother, and Anna's in the opening of the second game, and Laura talks to her about going on this expedition, and Dad was right, finding this source of immortality. So then the reveal comes in the middle of the game, and Anna shows up, and she's really working with Trinity, and she was inserted into her father's life to be a mole for Trinity because they knew he was looking for these artifacts that they were interested in.
So to throw him off his game.
So yeah, just to track him, and so they would be able to follow him, which is what they do in the second game. They steal Laura's research and use that to get to the site she's going to before she does. So it was a personal connection, and I think it's much more.
Yeah,
it's more impactful. Because the movie doesn't. Anna shows up in 2 scenes prior to that, and implies that she was there. The dialogue implies.
Rabbit glasses smile.
Did they actually say that she's her stepmom in the movies? That made any time?
Well,
there's a comment.
Representative.
There's a comment about her Laura saying, "You never really saw me," which implies that there was some kind of relationship. Anna was one of her dad's lieutenants, one of the second in command of the company or whatever, and was over at the manor. But I don't think they ever implied that there was a personal relationship between them.
Yeah, they didn't really say that at all.
So.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
More confetti.
I felt like we needed some confetti.
If I hadn't gone in with preconceptions, I think it would have been perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But I wanted this movie to be so much more than what it was.
I mean, just based on what I've read and what you gentlemen have told me today, I mean, I feel like we could get a good Tomb Raider movie. I think there is enough stuff here for a legitimately good video game movie. I'm not really sure why we're missing the mark as much as we are. I'm not sure if it's a matter of inexperienced directors and bad scripts, or just nobody's paying enough attention.
I'd bet money it's probably just like scriptwriters that aren't invested enough, because think about how you get the source material. If you're writing a book adaptation, you read the book. If you're doing a remake of another movie, you watch the old one. Do you really think that those scriptwriters sat there and played through the entire game? Doubt it.
No, but I mean,
maybe
there's all sorts of complicated situations with that.
Yeah.
Poor guy in the middle has nothing to lean on without
"Oh yeah, I'd love to write a Tomb Raider movie," but I think. Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Awkward, sad.
But I think there's a time and a place, and I think, and stop me at any time if I'm wrong, but I think the director of this was a first timer, so a lot of really fast cuts, a lot of sloppy editing. I agree with you, David. It was really cool to see Vikander doing her own stunts. You don't see that too often. It's becoming much of a more controversial topic in Hollywood nowadays, because when the lead actors get hurt, production gets shut down.
Yep.
But I definitely do applaud that, and I think it definitely shows in this movie. I just wish they had taken more time to actually emphasize that, rather than, let's cut 19 times because stereotypical generic Hollywood gunfight.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. What do you think is the first step in the right direction? Like, what would be the secret sauce to a legitimate Tomb Raider movie?
Okay, I would say late game supernatural reveal.
Okay.
I know that
They kind of play with that.
And then it ended up not really being...
Not being a thing at all.
Yeah, they gave it like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And, ooh, maybe something weird's going on here.
Those were the cool things in both of the games. You play through most of the game, and there's the locations are weird, and you don't really know what's going on, but there's not really any sign of supernatural stuff until, in both games, when you finally break into the ancient temple city, whatever, and you're suddenly fighting massive hordes of undead armies. And then it becomes this crazy supernatural thing. But those are both endgame reveals of there's this crazy supernatural stuff going on that's behind everything.
Yeah. And I think that...
And they pulled like the triple fake in this, and I didn't think it was very satisfying.
No, I didn't like it at all, because it's like you made it seem like it was going to take a supernatural direction.
Yeah.
And then like at the last second explain it away. And it's like, well... That would have been way
dressed
cooler.
As Lara Croft for this guy in the middle.
I mean, that's
sad.
Technically her dad's entire motivation to go to this obscure location, and then it's like, nope, biological threat.
Yeah, it just...
But let me ask you, going off
felt
of
like
that,
a cop-out.
Where do we draw the line? Because obviously if you decide to go action-adventure story and at the last second Resident Evil movie, how much is too much? Because I know, just going off of random YouTube videos I've seen over the years, there's been all sorts of things that have happened in the Tomb Raider franchise. So where should they draw the line in the first movie? Is that question a little too complicated?
No, I'm just trying to think of how to best answer it.
Because
Listen, I think all you would have needed, once they got into the tomb, they could have started seeing weird crap going on, and then
it's
you finally...
Not too late, guy in the middle, find some hot
Then you
dance.
finally get to... Himiko, and have there be this big reveal and some, whatever path they decided to take it on, some big supernatural thing.
So pretty much still crazy, let's have disintegrating bodies, but not necessarily, oh, it's a disease, now zombies.
I mean, the supernatural element is built into the sauce to some, not even just in Lara Croft, but like the Indiana Jones movies were like that too. You had the big supernatural twist generally coming towards the end point of the movie.
And maybe that's why they didn't. Maybe they were afraid to be in that shadow.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you deviate too far from the source material, it can be lackluster.
To be fair, that reveal is dangerously close to Raiders of the Lost Ark.
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
But I think it's a tough balance to find, and
it feels like it Not that, I mean,
No, go on.
I don't think that there's too much of a chance of us getting a sequel out of this movie. Just judging by the showing we went to, the amount,
not, no.
the amount of showings, the reviews it's getting, etc.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like that ending gives a lot of runway for different things. You know, they set up all these different locations, but it feels like you would just be doing the same thing at all those separate spots because there would be nothing to switch it up without the supernatural
there was a cliffhanger,
stuff.
but it never really made me feel like, oh wait, I want to know more.
Yeah.
So I hate to do this, but we're actually gonna have to wrap this up because there's somebody knocking on my door. So guys, as always, thanks for watching. To Justin and Dave, thank you for your commentary, and Jess, thanks for your supporting role in the back there. And we will see you next time.
See ya.